Welcome students to my next class on dissolution. In today's class we are going to see how to prepare the realization account or the treatment on the assets and liabilities taken over by the partner. So we have a problem which says Anil Sunil were partners in a firm and the balance sheet is given on 31/3, bills payable, creditors, Sunil's loan, reserve fund, capitals, Anil and Sunil capitals is given. Next you are having cash at bank, debtors, stock, furniture, machinery, building and goodwill. Total is 1,30,000. Now you are having the assets, adjustments, that is debtors realizing 10% less than the book value, stock realized 10% more than the book value. So when it is told as less or more, it is assumed that they are more or less than the balance sheet or book values. Building is 62,000. So if we see, all the assets like machinery, furniture is not appearing in the adjustment. That means those assets which are not appearing, either they are treated as worthless or it will be taken at the book value depending on the type of asset. Now vehicle is which is not recorded. Now this is not seen in the balance sheet, but now at the time of realization it is brought into the account. So such unrecorded assets, how the treatment will be done? So directly they will be shown on the credit side of realization account. Next, furniture is taken over by Anil. That means partner has taken over the asset. Next, creditors are to be settled at 10% less. That means less than the book value. Interest on bank overdraft is rupees 500, which is also to be paid. That means interest which is unrecorded liability now brought into consideration. Mr. Sunil took over his wife's loan. Now Mrs. Sunil is an outsider to the firm. She is a third party. So Mr. Sunil has taken this loan. That means it is liability taken over by the partner. Dissolution expenses amounted to 3,000. So we are going to prepare realization, partner's capital and cash account. Now we are having realization. First we are going to enter all the assets and liabilities at book value except cash or bank account. So we are having debtors 15,000, stock 18,000, furniture 12,000, machinery 20,000. Next, building is 50,000, goodwill is 10,000. So we are having assets which are entered at book value. Now liabilities will take, all the third party liabilities only are to be taken. Bank overdraft 4,000, bills payable 6,000, creditors is 10,000, Mrs. Sunil's loan is 5,000. So all the assets and liabilities leaving cash or bank is entered in our realization account. Now coming to the adjustments, I am having on the credit side, whenever assets are realized, income is realized, so it is taken on the credit side. So by bank, assets realized, I am having debtors 13,500 because it is 10% less than 15,000. So 15 minus 1,500 gives me 13,500. Now stock realized is 19,800 because the book value of stock was 18,000. To this 18,000 I should add 10% more. That means 1,800 has to be added. So you get 19,800. Next, building, they have already given, it is 62,000. Now the next one, we are not seen furniture and machinery. So furniture is stated that partner has taken, so we'll see later on. Now coming to machinery. Machinery being a physical or a fixed assets. So whatever physical or fixed assets are existing which are tangible, those tangible assets, if they are not given in the adjustment but appearing in the balance sheet, then assume that they are being sold at the same book value. So I will record machinery at 20,000. Now coming to goodwill. Now goodwill is appearing in the balance sheet but it is not seen at the time of adjustment. Goodwill is the name and fame, and hence it is treated as worthless. So goodwill, trademarks or patents, if these intangible assets are appearing in the balance sheet but not seen at the time of realization, then such intangible assets are treated as worthless and hence they will not appear at the time of realization. Now coming to vehicle. Vehicle is taken into consideration at the time of realization. It is an unrecorded asset because we are not seeing vehicle at the time of this transferring the assets and liabilities to realization account. So vehicle being unrecorded liability will be now considered and entered with other fixed assets, 4,000. So total assets realized come to 1,19,300. Now coming to furniture, it says, problem says Anil has taken over furniture. The cost of furniture is 12,000 but he is ready to pay 9,000 for that furniture. So I will transfer furniture to Anil's capital account as 9,000. Next one, coming to the payment side. I will realize, after realization of all assets, we are going to make our payments. So to cash or bank, liabilities paid. Now bills payable we are having, which is amounted to 6,000, no change. So 6,000 as it is paid in full. Now creditors. Creditors are paid 10% less. The problem says creditors are paid 10% less. That means there is a discount of 10%. So total creditors are 10,000. On 10,000, if I remove 10%, it amounts to 1,000. So 10,000 minus 1,000 gives me 9,000. Next I am having bank overdraft, which is 4,000. As usual we have to enter. Next there is unrecorded liability, that is interest on bank overdraft which was not paid till date but now it has to be paid. So it is unrecorded liability. So this also has to be entered at the time of realization because we are paying the liability. It is 500. So total payment for liabilities is 19,500. Now coming to the next partner taking liability. Mr. Sunil took up his wife's loan. So when he has taken his wife's loan, it increases the liability of Sunil. So I will write to Sunil capital. To Sunil capital 5,000, Mrs. Sunil's loan taken up. After paying the partner's loan, we are having dissolution expenses which have to be paid by the firm, that is 3,000. So now you have to take over the difference between the credit and the debit side because all assets and liabilities are entered and even paid off. Now the total will come to 1,54,300 on both the sides and you get a profit of rupees 800 on the debit side. So the 800 both being equal partners will get 400 each. So this can be better seen in partners capital account, how profit is distributed. The difference between debit and credit gives us 800 rupees, so it is 400 each. So after realization, next account we are preparing is partners capital accounts. So now I will draw the partners capital account. From the balance sheet I will write 52,000 and 45,000, which is from the balance sheet. Now the balance sheet shows there is a profit and loss account for rupees 8,000. 10 is missing. So profit and loss is 8,000. So you are having 4,000 each because of equal partnership. Next you are having the realization profit. Realization profit is 800. So 800 is distributed to both the partners in the ratio of 400 each, or one equal partners 400 and 400. So now I have taken all the amount from realization. Only two accounts have to be settled, that is asset taken over and liabilities taken over. So now again write by realization account, and below that write Mrs. Sunil's loan and take it in Sunil's capital, because Sunil is ready to pay back his wife's loan of 5,000. So when liabilities are taken by partner, show it on the credit side of partner's capital account, because it increases his liability. Now Anil has taken furniture for rupees 9,000. Problem says Anil took up furniture for rupees 9,000. So when I have taken up asset, that means the firm has repaid his capital to the extent of the asset taken over. So asset is taken at 9,000. So Sunil has already received 9,000 from the firm. So take it on the debit side of partner's capital. Now take the difference between the debit side and credit side and transfer it to cash or bank account. So you are having balance of 47,400 and 54,400. Here we complete partners capital account. Next, last account is bank account. So from the balance sheet we are going to bring 15,000. This is the opening balance of cash. Then from realization account I am going to take the amount of assets realized, that is 1,19,300. 1,19,300. Now what all cash is spent is to be recorded on the credit side. So for the liabilities I have spent total 19,500. On expenses I have spent 3,000, and whatever is the balance remaining is distributed to partners in their capital investment, or in according to their investment. So you are having Anil's capital, where he is going to receive total cash of 47,400, whereas Sunil is going to receive 54,400. So total of my credit side also gives me 1,24,300 and 1,24,300. So if cash account gets tallied, that means our problem is correct. So we'll see for one more variety. If madam completes, we will start with joint stock companies, which is the last but one lesson on from the syllabus. Thank you. Be safe and be ready for your annual exams, which may be appearing either in the month. So we are not sure what exactly is the date or when the exams are taken, but be prepared, because we will not know what may happen. So goodbye.